If you or a family member are coping with a physical or mental impairment in Canada, you might be looking for a definitive list of medical conditions that automatically qualify you for the Disability Tax Credit, or DTC. But here is the single most important piece of information you need to understand before you apply. The Canada Revenue Agency does not approve applications based on a medical diagnosis label alone. You could have a diagnosis of arthritis, diabetes, depression, or ADHD and still be denied if your paperwork doesn't show how that condition impacts your day-to-day life. The CRA looks at functional limitations, not clinical names. We have a comprehensive written guide linked in the description below that lists dozens of common conditions, detailed diagnostic criteria, and historical examples. I highly recommend referring to that guide for deeper information as you prepare your application. Today, we're going to break down the exact operational rules the CRA uses to define eligibility, so you know exactly where your application stands. To qualify under any category, your impairment must clear 3 strict hurdles set by the CRA. First, it must be prolonged. This means your limitation must have lasted or be expected to last for a continuous period of at least 12 months. Second, it must affect you all or substantially all of the time, which the CRA mathematically defines as generally 90% or more of the time. And third, it must cause what is known as a marked restriction. This means that even with appropriate therapy, medication, and assistive devices, you are either completely unable to perform a basic activity of daily living, or it takes you an inordinate amount of time to do it, meaning it takes you at least 3 times longer than an average person your age without the impairment. The CRA evaluates these restrictions across 8 specific categories of everyday survival. These are walking, such as severe mobility restrictions from advanced osteoarthritis or neurological disorders; dressing and feeding, the inability to dress or feed oneself independently in a normal time frame; eliminating, dealing with severe bowel or bladder management issues, like Crohn's disease or spinal injuries; hearing, speaking, and vision, severe sensory limitations that persist even with corrective aids or lenses; and finally, mental functions necessary for everyday life. This includes things like memory, problem-solving, goal-setting, emotional regulation, and adaptive functioning. Now, what happens if your condition doesn't make you 3 times slower in just one of those categories, but you struggle moderately across a few of them? Thanks to major legislative updates, the CRA now recognizes the cumulative effect of significant restrictions. This means if you have 2 or more significant limitations that exist concurrently 90% of the time, their combined impact can qualify you. For example, if you live with severe chronic pain that moderately slows down your walking, and that same chronic pain causes severe depression that restricts your cognitive mental functioning, you can combine those 2 separate categories to meet the threshold of being markedly restricted. This has opened the door for thousands of Canadians who were previously left behind. Let's look at how common conditions map onto these rules based on our full eligibility guide. With conditions like ADHD or autism, the focus is usually on the mental functions category. The application must document restrictions in attention, emotional regulation, or goal setting, showing that a child or adult requires constant prompting or supervision to complete everyday routines compared to their peers. For physical conditions like severe arthritis, the application targets walking or dressing, showing how joint degradation physically slows down the mechanics of movement. For mental health conditions like severe depression, eligibility hinges on showing how clinical symptoms systematically impair cognitive memory, social interaction management, or the ability to initiate basic tasks independently 90% of the time. There is one more crucial pathway to eligibility: life-sustaining therapy. If you require ongoing, medically necessary therapy to support a vital function, you can qualify if that therapy takes up at least 14 hours per week, split across at least 3 separate sessions. The most common example here is type 1 diabetes, where time spent monitoring blood glucose, adjusting insulin dosages, and logging data counts directly toward that 14-hour limit. It also applies to treatments like kidney dialysis or intensive chest physiotherapy to assist with breathing. Ultimately, the key to a successful disability tax credit application is ensuring your medical practitioner, whether that's your doctor, nurse practitioner, or specialist, accurately documents your functional limitations using the exact language the CRA expects on Form T2201. To see more examples or to read through our comprehensive breakdown of conditions, click the link in the description below to view our full written guide. If you want help reviewing your case, you can also book a free, no-obligation assessment with our team directly on our website. If this video helped clarify the rules for you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more Canadian benefit updates, and leave your questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next guide.